Europe is once again talking about conscription. Germany, France, and several other countries are reopening a debate many believed had ended after the Cold War. To some, this feels sudden and alarming, as if history is moving backward. But history suggests something else. Whenever conscription returned, it never arrived with marching orders. It arrived slowly, through debate, resistance, and social tension. This is not a story about soldiers or battlefields. It is a story about society. Historically, conscription debates appear when three forces align. First, threat perception changes, not because war has begun, but because uncertainty grows. Second, demographic pressure increases as younger populations shrink. Third, responsibility shifts as states are expected to defend themselves rather than rely on others. It is rarely war itself that triggers conscription debates. It is the belief that war has become possible. Fewer young people means smaller armies and thinner reserves. At the same time, countries that once depended on allies are told to prepare on their own. When these conditions overlap, governments ask a simple but dangerous question. Do we still have enough people to protect the state if the situation worsens? Once that question is asked, society begins to divide, not on the battlefield, but at the dinner table, in classrooms and across generations. The first controversy always emerges immediately. Is this debate truly about security, or is it a political choice driven by fear? Governments speak of changing threats. Citizens wonder whether danger is being exaggerated to justify long-term control. When Sweden reintroduced conscription, the country was not at war. No invasion had occurred. What changed was perception. Risk felt closer, instability felt permanent, and uncertainty became part of daily politics. History shows that the first battle of conscription is never military. It is narrative. Whoever defines the threat often defines the outcome of the debate. The second controversy follows quickly. Why is this burden placed on the young? Those who designed security policy are rarely the ones expected to serve. This gap has appeared repeatedly in history. Young people ask a question, heard across generations. Why must our future be paused to solve problems created before we had any power to influence them? Conscription debates often expose who decides risk and who is expected to absorb it. Over time, this turns into generational conflict. Older voices speak of duty and tradition. Younger voices speak of choice and fairness. History shows that conscription discussions rarely remain technical. They become moral arguments about responsibility, sacrifice, and inherited obligation. Then comes the most dangerous controversy of all: who serves and who escapes. History shows that conscription systems do not collapse when armies fail. They collapse when fairness fails. When exemptions multiply, trust disappears. Sacrifice begins to feel uneven. At that point, citizens no longer debate security. They debate justice. During past conscription systems, exemptions became symbols of privilege. Alternative service became suspect. The question shifted from whether defense was necessary to why sacrifice was distributed unevenly. History is clear on this point. Conscription can survive war and hardship. It cannot survive the belief that obligation applies only to some. The fourth controversy follows. Is conscription civic duty, or is it coercion? As debates deepen, they stop being logistical and become constitutional. Citizens begin to ask where obligation ends and where state power begins. Is refusal a crime? Is conscience negotiable? These questions reopen the social contract between citizen and state. Once that contract is reopened, it is never rewritten quietly. Conscription debates force societies to clarify how much authority the state can claim in the name of security. History shows that conscription is tolerated when it feels reciprocal. It is resisted when it feels imposed, unequaled, or disconnected from democratic consent. The fifth controversy expands the debate beyond the military. Modern conscription rarely stays within barracks. It extends into cyber defense, civil protection, disaster response, and infrastructure support. At these days, conscription stops being a military institution. It becomes a social one, reshaping education, timelines, labor markets, and civic expectations. This expansion creates a new fear. Is this shared responsibility or permanent mobilization? Citizens begin to wonder whether national service is strengthening resilience or quietly normalizing constant readiness. History shows that once conscription enters civilian space, it is difficult to confine again. The final controversy is the quietest, but the deepest. Is conscription temporary, or is it permanent? Emergency systems are often introduced as short-term solutions, but history shows they tend to remain. People fear not today's service, but tomorrow's automatic mobilization triggered by future crises. In many historical cases, conscription became a switch, off during peace, on during crises. All was ready. History does not tell us whether conscription is right or wrong. It tells us that these debates redraw the boundary between freedom and obligation, between individual choice and collective survival. When countries discuss conscription, they are not returning to the past. They are deciding how much of the future they are willing to organize before it arrives. Conscription is not the sound of marching boots. It is the sound of a society renegotiating its relationship with the state long before the first order is ever given.